Hey everyone, welcome. Today, we're diving into something that, let's be honest, can be totally paralyzing, making a big decision when you've got way too many things to think about. We're going to see how a little bit of structure, a few simple numbers, can take a super complex problem and make the right choice, well, surprisingly clear.
I mean, you know the feeling, right? You're just staring at two options. Your brain is a complete mess of pros and cons. You make the lists, you call your friends, and you're still just stuck. There's no obvious best choice. Well, that feeling has a name. It's decision paralysis. And that is exactly what we're going to slice right through today.
So, to make this really concrete, we're going to follow a case study. We've got this travel company, and they need to open a new branch office. Now, they're stuck. Half the team wants it in Jeddah, to be close to a huge client. The other half is pushing for Khobar, a city in the eastern province. Both spots have good arguments. So, what do? How do they make the right call?
Okay, so here's our roadmap. We'll start by making the tough call and framing the problem. Then we'll get into gathering and cleaning up our data, and even turning opinions into numbers. After that, we'll build the final decision model. And definitely stick around, because at the end, we'll talk about how you can try this out for yourself.
All right, Section 1, making the tough call. Let's introduce a framework that can bring some real clarity to these situations.
So, what even is a model in this context? Well, don't let the word scare you. It's really just a collection of information that shows what's going on. Think of it like a structured snapshot of the problem. It's a way to organize all the important stuff so you can make a choice based on actual evidence, not just a gut feeling. Okay, on to our next section. Gathering and cleaning data. This is super important because, a model is only as good as the info you feed it. This part is the foundation of making a solid decision.
So the first essential element is to assign numeric values. You got to start with the stuff you can actually, measure. We're talking hard numbers here. Things like price, square footage, sales per week, all that good stuff. The absolute key is to collect accurate information and just pop it into a simple tool, like a spreadsheet. But here's a curveball you're almost guaranteed to face. What happens when your data doesn't, speak the same language?
This brings us to our second essential element. You have to compare apples to apples. Let's look at the before. The company's looking at salaries. One manager is 40,000 SAR a year, another is 2,000 a month. You can't compare those directly, right? It's useless. But look at the after. You just convert that yearly salary to a monthly one, around 3,333 SAR, and boom. Now you've got a direct, fair comparison. It's as simple as that.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about how to turn opinions into numbers. Because let's face it, we've handled the easy data, the costs. But what about the fuzzy stuff? Things like staff preference, morale. These things are super important, but how in the world do you measure what feels immeasurable?
Well, here's the third essential element, and it's actually pretty brilliant. You rate subjective variables. The solution is way simpler than you'd think. You just use a rating scale. A classic 1 to 5 scale is perfect. You ask a question like, should we open an office in Khobar? And people can choose from strongly agree down to strongly disagree. And just like that, a vague feeling, it turns into a number. A 4 for agree is a solid piece of data you can now work with.
And once you have those numbers, you can see what's really going on. Check out this chart of the staff preference for Khobar. When you tally up the scores, it becomes really clear. You've got 12 people who either agree or strongly agree, 5 who are neutral, and only 3 who disagree. Suddenly, that fuzzy idea of staff opinion is a very clear, very measurable trend.
All right, let's get to the big reveal, the final decision model. We've got our hard cost data, and it's all standardized. We've got our subjective opinion data, and it's all converted into numbers. So, it's time. Time to put it all together.
And this is what we call the decision model. It's basically just one or more formulas, or even just a simple scorecard that pulls in all the different factors we've been talking about and calculates a final result. It's the whole shebang, all in one place.
So, here we go. With all the data gathered and scored, which location actually came out on top?
And look at this. The final scorecard makes the choice, kinda obvious. Let's look at the subjective score total. That's all the staff preferences and other ratings. Khobar gets a 162, beating Jeddah's 150.
Okay, interesting. Now look at the bottom line, the monthly expenses. CoBar is cheaper too. It wins on both the people front and the money front. A decision that seemed so tough is now crystal clear.
All right, so now it's your turn. We've got a simple 4-step framework for you to make clear decisions. The whole point here is that this isn't some fancy, secret corporate strategy. It's a powerful tool that you can use for pretty much any decision, big or small.
So here it is, your decision-making framework. Let's recap. Step 1, gather all your measurable data, the costs, the specs, you name it. Step 2, standardize those units so you're actually comparing apples to apples. Step 3, rate all those subjective feeling factors on a simple 1 to 5 scale. And finally, step 4, combine everything into a decision model or a scorecard. Let the numbers do the talking.
So what's one tough decision you could clarify with this model today? I mean, that's really the power of this whole approach, right? It helps you cut through all the noise and give some real, solid substance to your choice. So I'll leave you with that question. Think about a tough decision you're facing. How could this simple framework bring you the clarity you've been looking for?